The art of the protest. An important ancient human art. Some people use it for good, others, not so much. Now, unless you've been living under, well, not a rock, because I'm sure even the rock community is talking about this, maybe like I don't know, something that's not a rock, then I'm sure you've heard of the recent Just Stop Oil protest where they're throwing stuff onto paintings. You know the ones. They've taken the internet by storm, and it seems like every other day there's a new one. Now look, I'm gonna start off this video by saying I'm probably gonna have a very different take than most people who have talked about this on this website. At least a different approach to talking about this. I'm not just gonna sit here for 10 minutes and make fun of these people. I think it's fair to say that there are some important takeaways for both sides of this protest, but let's not waste any more time talking about things that are not the topic of the video, as I'm continuing to do now. Let's just begin. Please subscribe. Normally, I never ask for this, but before you comment, I really ask that you watch the entire video before you accuse me of taking a side or supporting this or defending that. I've got a bit to say about this situation, and if by the end you disagree with me, that's completely fine. Just please, I ask that you hear me out.
Security.
What is worth more, art or life?
Alright, so this very first sentence I think might be being lost on some people or something. The whole outrage over this incident is why I think this was chosen to be the first thing said. Saying what's worth more, art or life, is sort of a prediction of what I guess these people thought was going to come out of this protest, and it seems to be pretty accurate if I'm being completely honest. Now look, is it okay to be angry about vandalism? Yes, 100%. I'm not trying to discount that in any way. Is this an inherently good way to protest? No. You should not be vandalizing property to get your point across. However, it seems that more people are angry about some soup on a glass-covered painting than they are about the irreversible damage that oil companies are doing to our planet to make money. Look, I believe in climate change. The science is there. I know a lot of people don't believe in it, and I'm not here to debate that. I'm not here to change your mind about climate change. And while I don't agree with the method, I do see the weirdness and the sort of disconnect of people being more angry about what is essentially soup on a window than people doing serious damage to the planet that they will not be around to see the consequences of, just for money. But, and this is a big but, I'm sort of talking about this facetiously, because while this might be a good point in a vacuum, you know, without context, I don't think it's fair to make it here, and I'm gonna talk about that more in a second.
Is it worth more than food? Worth more than justice? Are you more concerned about the protection of a painting or the protection of our planet and people? The cost of living crisis is part of the cost of oil crisis. Fuel is unaffordable to millions of cold, hungry families. They can't even afford to heat a tin of soup.
Alright, so this is where they start to lose me. Honestly, I think the only solid sentence of this whole spiel is the first one. I don't think it's that people are caring more about the painting. I think it's just that you're using a really strange medium to talk about the protection of the earth. You can care about both. I think both that it's important to protect the planet and that it's important to protect historical paintings. You're forcing your message onto something completely unrelated, so it starts to fall apart. This is what I was referring to a minute ago, which is why I want to make it very clear that I do not agree with this protest. Look, if this painting fell off the wall or something and broke in half, and there was a global sadness about this painting being damaged, and this group wanted to say, are you more concerned about a painting than climate change going on around you? That would kind of make sense. Even that is a really big stretch. The problem with this protest is that there's just no correlation whatsoever, and I think most people are in agreement with that. that. Protesting climate change is not a bad thing, but you can't just start bringing other things into it, creating problems, and saying, oh, so you care more about this problem than climate change? That's not how that works. Being upset that somebody threw soup onto a painting does not mean you don't care about climate change. That's where this all goes wrong. This group is making this outrageous claim that if you're upset about this, then that means you can't care about climate change. That's not how that works. I think this is a very stupid protest, and I also care about the planet. Imagine that. That would be like me going to the grocery store, grabbing a banana, dropping it on the floor, stepping on it, and waiting for somebody to say, hey man, you shouldn't really waste a banana like that, and then hitting them with, oh, so you're worried about a banana? That must mean you hate orphans. People can be worried about more than one thing at once. And I'm gonna go ahead and pile on to the already tired point of them talking about people not being able to afford food while they waste it. Yeah, that was a bit of an oversight, but I'm now realizing I've been talking for quite some time at this point, so let's just finish out the clip.
Meanwhile, crops are failing. Millions of people are dying in monsoons, wildfires, and severe drought. We cannot afford new oil and gas. It is going to take everything we know and love.
Alright, so I'm gonna stray away from the whole you can't just make a problem and say people don't care about other problems if they're angry about your problem thing. I think I've covered that. So yeah, I mean, once again, climate change is doing things to the planet. However, I do think that just saying let's stop the use of oil is a bit of an idealistic way of thinking. Is my love of cars maybe influencing what I think about that? Maybe so. But I don't know if it's really realistic to say let's just completely abandon oil overnight. Should we definitely be moving away from it? Yes. But there are going to be hiccups along the way. Nobody knows what we should do. We can only really guess. And even though it's not the greatest way to do it, I think there is some validity to this protest. I mean, let's be honest, nobody's gonna care if some people go and picket outside of an oil headquarters. I keep seeing a lot of people say that this is not an effective protest, and I mean, I don't even know how you can say that. This is one of the most effective protests of recent times. Everybody on the planet is talking about it, and even though it might not be convincing that many people, it's definitely sparking conversation and it's making people think. I mean, historically, most effective protests have not exactly been looked at in the best light during the actual protest. Sure, we look back at them and say that was a great cause, but the people during the time of the protest weren't thinking that. Otherwise, there wouldn't be a protest. Most good protests aren't exactly loved. So honestly, I think this is a bit of an unfortunate situation. I mean, I don't really know what this organization was thinking. They had to have gone into this knowing that this would not exactly paint climate activists in the best light. Sure, they made the headlines and they've managed to be the talk of the internet for the past week, but once again, for all the wrong reasons. This is only giving ammunition to those who think that people who do believe in climate change are crazy. Not exactly a good look. I really didn't mean to rant for so long. I just had some things I wanted to say. What do you guys think? Do you think that this protest was effective? I mean, on paper, I guess you can't really say that it wasn't. It got the cause out, it got the message out, but when it comes to the conversion factor, I don't think you're convincing many people who don't believe in climate change that, oh, well, by the looks of that tomato soup, by golly, climate change is real. Yeah, I'm gonna wager that that was not the thought process of a single human being who saw this. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and walk on over to that subscribe button and touch it. It's free. It won't cost you anything. But for now, that's all I have for you today. Bye.
Subscribe.